we live? I think so. Hit the like, thumbs up, subscribe, notification bell. Hit every fucking button underneath this video. Hit them all. Hit all the buttons. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Put your thumb into it. Bump, bump. You can do it. Put your thumb into it. Bump, bump. Oh, here comes the hot stepper, murderer. The lyrical gangster, murderer. All right. We're going to talk about Matthew Carey. Harry Carey? No, we're going to talk about Matthew Perry and the wild west of ketamine use in America, and how maybe the FDA is... What up, JM Studios? Hello. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up, that like button. You can do it. Put your thumb into it. Bump, bump. Hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell. I go live every weekday. Every single weekday. Weekdays are so arbitrary. They really are. Good to see you, JM. Big shout out to you in the description yesterday. Thank you very much, Lee, for asking amazing Godzilla questions. Good stuff, good stuff. Good stuff, good stuff. Today, if we don't get some amazing questions in the chat, we're going to focus on Matthew Perry, who died in what, December? I don't remember. Died last year, October? I don't know. He died last year. You know him from Friends. Gen F is here. What is up? We have our Respect My Authority Googler, the Googler. Gen F in the house. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe and notification bell. You can do it. Put your thumb into it. Bump, bump. I don't know why I keep saying that. I'm very sorry. It's in my head. Who is Matthew? Matthew Perry. He's iconic actor from the show Friends, the TV show Friends. He played Chandler Bing, and then he died. You know what? Thank you, JM is always asking the proper questions. I should set this up. In case you don't know, Matthew Perry, for a billion D years, he was on the show Friends for as long as it was on. He was Chandler Bing, well beloved. Canadian man, very kind. He got sober. He battled drug addiction and addiction. He battled addiction. Matthew Perry got sober and was very open and vocal about being sober. And he was a great, great human to represent sobriety out in the public. October 28th. Look at Jen on fire. Jen is on fire. I've never needed to question anything when Jen is up in the chat. So yeah, he died in October, and he died in a hot tub, drowned. But the report, you thought Friends was a series for girls who like Nickelodeon like series. No, JM. Friends was a primetime TV show aimed at young adults, yuppies, young urban professionals. And it took the world by storm because it was just a good friend comedy. It was like a buddy comedy, but for girls and boys. Like, it was a girl buddy comedy, guy buddy comedy. I got into it very late because of friends I had. Loved it, swore by it. Didn't believe in it myself, tried it out. Great show. It really is. It is a funny show. It's a good show. You should watch Friends if you've never seen it. It's probably streaming somewhere. And Chandler was one of the great characters. There's only two good characters on it. Chandler and Joey. Ross, who's played by David Schwimmer. Meh, get out of here. Meh. But anyway, so Chandler Bing, Matthew Perry, became a voice for people who were fighting addiction and getting sober. And if you look up some of his YouTube videos where he does interviews and talks about his sobriety, it's powerful stuff. He really knew how to vocalize it, and I hate to say debate, but some people don't think it's a disease. Some people want to go whatever route. I'm not here to discuss that. What I want to talk about is that his death was ruled accidental. He drowned in a hot tub. We found out that, and I didn't know this stuff, that he was using ketamine, which is a drug. When I was growing up, it was known as Special K. People went into K-holes. It was a hallucinogen. I think originally it is like a anesthetic or anesthesia. I always thought it was like vets used it for animals. And he apparently was using that. And now again, I link all the articles that I talk about in the description below so you can read it for yourself, just in case, because I'm going off the top of the dome. I read everything a few times and then I just go live. But that's why I need you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you. We're on to 1340, by the way. 1340, here we come. We're almost there. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. So apparently Matthew Perry, Chandler Bing, was using it. They give it to veterans now for PTSD. Correct. It's not authorized for PTSD and depression and stuff like that. And this is why I said it was the Wild West, because if you go on Reddit, if you're on YouTube, any virtual medium you're on, maybe it's just me, but I get ads for ketamine usage all the time. Like, check out the ketamine clinic. I'm like, Jesus, is this legal? And I looked it up, and I also put a link in the description to an article done by NPR and how, because I always thought ketamine was a scheduled drug. And ketamine, Special K, is a Schedule 3 drug, which is freaking nuts because cannabis is a Schedule 1 drug. So federally, you would get more prison time for cannabis than ketamine, which is nuts because ketamine is way more dangerous. But it's still federally a Schedule 3 drug, okay? So it is not legal to use federally, but I guess, and this is why it's kind of called the Wild West of ketamine usage, because I guess clinics and doctors are prescribing it for depression, PTSD, which, listen, if it works, it's just like ecstasy, magic mushroom, all those drugs, like, not when they're abused, but they all have a righteous usage, you know? Like, all these drugs are on purpose for a reason, and they can be, that's why they're called drugs. You don't think about this, but you call Advil a drug, or Advil is a drug, ibuprofen is a drug, amoxicillin is a drug. They all have some kind of medical usage. It's just in the right context, okay? So I don't go off of, like, I don't judge Matthew, or I don't think he's not sober for using ketamine under a doctor's prescription. Apparently, which I didn't know, is there was some other, like, opioids and sleeping pills or something. I don't know, something else at the time of his death. Neither here nor there. You know, if he fell off the wagon, which he was open about, then you know what? Yeah, that's the struggle of addiction. So I have no judgments on that. Who I do judge is the federal government. And the article I linked down below is talking about how, I don't know if it's the ATF, FDA, the Alphabet Boys, one of those alphabet agencies, one of the letters, FBI, DEA, I think it's the DEA, are looking into potentially pressing charges and trying to find out where Matthew Perry got the ketamine. And I get it, and this is why you see a federal agency following up on this, and they had no comment in the article, which no comment means, yeah, they're probably working their tail off to charge somebody, which I don't understand why. Well, no, I do, because, you know, they need to validate their drug war. They need to validate spending billions on their military weapons to bust people for what? Mailing ketamine to him? He probably didn't even get it mailed. He probably had a doctor fly in. I don't know, but I'm guessing, you know, if he's that wealthy still, you just have a doctor fly in. You do a Zoom meet, and then he sends in your prescription. But it's just incredible that the government is wasting this much time, energy, and money into finding out who prescribed him or who sent him the ketamine, when you don't see them doing this with health insurance companies who are denying people cancer care or surgeries. Or, I mean, if the government's going to go, and again, this is the drug war, if they're going to deny people access to life-saving drugs, right? Like, one is, what is it called? The stuff, Jen, you could do it, put your thumb into it. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Agent Smith, but I don't know if you heard me saying that earlier. I was saying you could subscribe and hit the notification bell. You could do it, put your thumb into it. Bop, bop. You just threw me off. Anyways, Jen, if what is it called? The thing that, the glucose that people need for diabetes? What's that called? Insulin. Sorry, Jen, you don't need to Google it. Sorry. It's so nice to have a Jen in the chat. And JM. But if the federal government wants to go after people for drugs, why don't they go after the companies who are denying, what did I call it? Insulin. Denying people insulin and charging them. I'm sure there are plenty of people who have died or had, serious medical issues for not being able to have access to the right drugs. Federal government, go after them. Don't go after people who are sending ketamine to try to help people with depression. Go after people who are gatekeeping the drugs from people who need the cures. That's how none of this makes sense to me. Make it make sense. Like, the government has the resources to go after these people, the real criminals, the people who are withholding the medications, who are maybe not authorizing the medications, and they're not doing it. Now, I know. I get it that, it's all in the name of profit, and who do they work for? They protect the capital. But still, it seems so insignificant that they would try to find who sent Matthew Perry the ketamine when there are millions of deaths, or hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands per year of Americans who are not receiving health care access because of their insurance companies. And wouldn't it be amazing to see the government going after those people? The DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, saying, oh, you're making drugs too expensive and people are dying. We need to charge you. That's murder. But no, they're going after Matthew Perry's ketamine dealer. Jesus. If I keep talking about the government, won't you go to jail? No. No. This is the beautiful thing, is that bringing this awareness rallies the people. But I think it's funny, especially because, Special K, if it's a Schedule 3 drug, but it's been authorized for certain usage, and doctors and scientists and people are agreeing. I won't call them professionals with the drug, because to me a professional is somebody who knows that drug inside and out, has used it themselves. That's the professional. It's like, you don't call somebody who comments on basketball a professional unless they played the sport, right? Then they were a professional. But Matthew Perry's death was initially ruled incidental or accidental, not incidentally, but accidental. And if he was under a doctor's care, those are the risks you take, I would guess. It probably had a warning on the ketamine bottle that said, please do not use a jacuzzi. Just like a lot of drugs that will say, this can cause drowsiness, do not drive a tractor trailer truck. Probably the same thing when you get your ketamine prescription from your virtual doctor or your ketamine clinic or your veterinarian. I don't know where you get your Special K. But it probably has some kind of warning like, don't fucking go in a jacuzzi late at night. You might fall asleep and die. How does the President of the United States... JM, come on, man. Bring the Godzilla questions. In this NPR article, again, link in the description, it was really fascinating because it truly is. I still, when I started seeing and does anybody else see the pop-up ads? Maybe now that I've said it and Google listens to everything, everybody who's in the live is going to get ads for ketamine now. Ketamine clinics. And this is not a joke. I see them all the time. It was almost funny that while I was reading the story of Matthew Perry's ketamine death, or accidental drowning with ketamine usage involved, I scrolled down through Reddit and there was an ad for a ketamine clinic, like a couple stories later. And I'm like, I don't know. That's weird. That's eerie. So I don't know if anybody else is getting these, but the government's got a lot of work to do. If we can get advertisements for ketamine on YouTube, on Reddit, on social media, I'm trying to think where else I've seen it. I see them all the time on the internet. And it's incredible that you can get all those ads, but then what? They're going to come after you? If you go, how is it legal to advertise that? They just need to figure it out. And I'm saying if this works for people with PTSD, just like ecstasy, cannabis, all that stuff, if it works, or MDMA, whatever, under a doctor's usage, just like ayahuasca. People travel to another country. There's even a place, I think, in Tennessee where they use ayahuasca as a religious experience, religious sacrament, but it also is great. There are people that swear by it. Neil Brennan, a great comic, podcaster. He was a writer on Dave Chappelle's show. Neil Brennan talks about his experiences with ayahuasca and how it was life-changing and so beneficial. You reminded me of those characters in the science fiction movie who keep saying that the government is for aliens and that the world is going to end because of chicken. JM Studios, what are you talking about, man? Uh, the government is... you mean full of aliens? You talking like Men in Black? But it's a weird thing, and I pray that the government does not charge anybody of this Matthew Perry, death. If anything, I don't think Matthew Perry was going the illicit ketamine route. I think, he maybe even fell victim to an advertisement online and went to see a ketamine doctor at a ketamine clinic about, maybe depression or something he was battling. I mean, it's something I've even considered. Special K scares me, though. If you've seen people out in the wild on Special K, it is a terrifying drug, okay? Let me just say that. It always scared the crowd. There were only a couple of drugs that really, truly scared me, the synthetics, and they were terrifying. So if you throw a shoe on the floor, it lands on your feet, right? And if you throw a piece of bread and butter on the floor, it lands on its side. What happens if you stick the two together? JM, I got a feeling, bro, you're on Special K right now. We need you to chill. What is it? What is chill in Portuguese? What is chill in Portuguese? My brain ain't functioning. All the synapses ain't firing. JM, tell me what chill means in Portuguese. I keep hearing Levantin say, but that's from a Sublime song. It means stand up, get up, get up. Anyways, what were we talking about? Matthew Perry. But I'm going to follow along with this story. Just like the Justin Timberlake story where he got pulled over, and we'll see if he ever gets a punishment. Got pulled over for drinking and driving. And that dude's going to get off scot-free. Watch. We'll make him pay a fine. But this Matthew Perry thing is fascinating too. And I don't know if it's because it's a high-profile case or if the FDA... I mean, the FDA just needs to catch up with the rest of science, Deschedule cannabis, deschedule these drugs and let the doctors go. That's the other thing, just so everybody's aware. The reason doctors, can't get full authorization or the FDA can't approve these drugs is because when a drug is scheduled, 1, 2, or 3, I think it goes to 4, that means they can't get, a lot of these scientists get government funding, to do the experiments or whatever they do to prove whether or not it's beneficial. And they have to go through trials and, all this stuff to figure out like how it works, what works best. They have to do that. And when it's scheduled, same thing with cannabis. Why like there's this really tricky way to prove that it's scientifically beneficial. And the biggest part of that, the biggest hoop they have to jump through is, them being in danger with the federal government because it's a federally scheduled drug, meaning highly illegal. And if they would just declassify it, deschedule it, then you could get the science to back up or say that, it's no good. Either way, you'd figure you just want to get to the truth, right? You just want to let the science people, the doctors, the whatever, go at it, have the trials, and figure out yes or no. Is this good for us? Is it bad for us? If it's bad for us, they they reschedule it. If it's good for you, then they allow doctors to use it, and who knows how many millions of people will be calma, how be helped by that. Calma, JM. Thank you, appreciate that. I love that. I gotta learn some more Portuguese, man, I'm telling you. The other story I linked down below, if you haven't read this is a story out of Australia. And if you haven't seen Friendly Jordies is a YouTuber who at one point, like Australian gangs or mafia, I don't know what they're called in Australia. I think it's just the mafia, organized crime. Let's call it that. They firebombed his house, or allegedly. I don't know. But Friendly Jordies is an amazing YouTuber. He exposes corruption and all this stuff. Very funny dude. Very great, funny channel. And I was thinking of him when I was reading this article because I know here in America, Apple AirTags, these little tags that you could stick underneath cars, and basically it's a stalker's dream because if they want to tag somebody and just track them, they can, and you'd never know. It'd be impossible for you to know. Hey, if you were here in Brazil, you'd have to be very careful, and I do believe that. You are 100%. I believe you. You're in Brazil. I know that, but I ain't in Brazil. Maybe I'll come sometime. We'll connect. You show me around. You got to show me around if I come to Brazil. Are you close to Rio de Janeiro? I'd love to go to Brazil. A lot of friends and people I live around from Brazil. And so yeah, the AirTags are just absolutely creepy. And there were stories months ago, I think I've talked about this a few times, that the AirTags are being used in the most nefarious ways. And now this article that I linked again in the description, hit subscribe and the notification bell. We're going to crack 1340. We're doing it this week. I know we are. So put your thumb into it. Bump, bump. You can do it. Put your thumb into it. Bump, bump. Hit the subscribe and notification bell. I go live every weekday. But now there's a story out of Australia saying that stalkers, people who have been convicted of some kind of stalking crime, and organized crime have now got a hold of the AirTags and they're using it to track people. And immediately I thought of the Friendly Jordy's YouTube channel and said, bro, be careful. Be careful where you're parking. Be careful who knows where you are, because they're throwing AirTags on you and you never know. That's the scariest part. These things are so small that if someone stuck one even on your shoe, you probably wouldn't even notice. They're terrifying. I don't know how Apple did not foresee this with all the brilliant minds that work for them, but this is a horrifying thing. And for anybody that, you know, understands the trouble with being GPS tracked everywhere, I just think of like how corporations could use this if your boss wants to track you. I mean, it's just a horrible thing, and that should be more regulated than ketamine, for crying out loud. All right. That's all I wanted to talk about today. But join me tomorrow, where the saga continues. And we will discuss many more things. And thank you, Gen F, for joining and always being the Google authority. Authority. Respect my authority. And JM, calm, bro. Appreciate you for stopping by the chat. And everybody else, please, when you hit that subscribe button, you can do it. Put your thumb into it. Bump, bump. I got that stuck in my head. I'm so sorry. I don't know why that's stuck in my head. I was not listening to that song. But hit the notification bell, and that way you can join me when I do go live. And I will be live tomorrow again, every weekday. So I thank you guys so much. Jen, JM, good to see you guys. Everybody else, salute. Oh, we're going to make it to 1340 subscribers. Philly to Franco, watch out. We're hot on your tail, man. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. Peace.